what is it we're trying to do? When I talk about community and when I say to people, CIPS is focused on trying to build more competent, ethical talent for the country. So Jonathan helped me create this slide. And just to give you a little context, this was originally called Canada's IT Pipeline. And when I presented it to a few different stakeholders as a sort of trial run, I got some pretty significant pushback, especially from people out in the West Coast about pipelines. Apparently that's not a popular phrase. So I don't use pipelines anymore. And the other correction to the title was public sector people apparently do not use IT the same way most of us in industry do. They prefer the term digital. Hence, that's where the title comes from. Canada's digital, I couldn't give up on the IT part, skill supply. And what I'm trying to communicate here from a CIPS perspective is we see the challenge as being there are not enough senior specialists. If you look at the bottom, the mid-career and senior, there's just not enough talent in the country to satisfy all the jobs and requirements that are out there. And I don't think it can be fixed by small actions or reactions in certain circumstances. I think it's a systemic problem. And we've got to start very early on. We've got to start at school age to get what I would argue are underrepresented populations in IT, particularly women or girls and Indigenous people, but every underrepresented group. We want to find ways to start them as early as possible, getting and thinking about or excited about IT careers and increase the diversity of the talent pool nationally and frankly internationally. So getting them interested is part of what we're working with IFIP on. Again, this is not a domestic Canada problem. This is an international issue. There just aren't enough people anywhere to satisfy the demand in any country, and for sure not worldwide. Once we've got them hooked or interested, we hope that interest will continue on through post-secondary and into their university careers. We're also looking at non-traditional paths. So non-IT students, if you're a graduate from a program that's got business, and there are even faculties now that are focusing on technology inside the business. So BTM is one that we're working with, but looking for non-traditional paths for students to come into the industry, working with immigration, trying to find ways to help new Canadians and or people that have come to the country for different reasons. How do we get them into the industry? Many times they have some skills and we just need to help them find the right initial jobs to get the work experience. And other times, maybe they don't have a lot of experience. We can start them off early and train them. The other area of interest for us is skills transfer. So non-IT workers from other industries can be, and I hope in many cases, easily transferred into our industry. And the example I like to use is if you're a call center person in retail, coming over to be a help desk person or a support person in IT is not a huge change. You're already familiar with technology, serving customers, helping people. Those are the skills that you can bring with you, and we can teach you what it is you need to know from a technical perspective. All that to say is when I talk to different stakeholders, so governments, we tend to talk in this space and or this space because we're talking about education. With industry, I talk about there may be, and this would be an interesting problem to have because it's not an issue right now, but there may be an industry problem if we attract a lot of new talent. There could be a situation where entry-level jobs might risk overflow. So we might have to have industry overhire in places like help desks and or support centers so that there's enough talent in here that we can continue to train and move through their career. So how is it we see ourselves supporting this whole conversation? If we accept, and I think people do, no, it's okay, keep going, Jonathan, that's fine, that there is demand exceeding supply, we look at the kinds of stats we see. So it's exceeding today. It's not forecast to get better. In fact, the challenge is going to get worse if we don't start trying to look for ways to fix it sooner than later. So if we don't affect some of those paths and make it easier for people to join, excuse me, it's going to become a real problem for Canada. It's an issue today. It has risk of becoming a significant problem for us in the future. So what it is that we're trying to do to help. So this is where we get into the what is CIPS doing section. So the specific answer is we want to use Sophia. Jonathan, you want to flip? Sophia, we talked a bit about briefly before, the skills framework for the information age. It has a global footprint. It started in the UK, but now it's, I say 180, I think it's even more than that, and translated into 12 languages. And I'll talk about why that's important. One of the things that distinguishes Sophia from some of the other skills areas is it's not just what you've done or the levels, it's how you've done it. So there's levels of responsibility. You can be on a team or leading a team. That's the same experience, but the level of responsibility is significant when you're assessing somebody's talent. So we also accept and or believe that any industry role in IT can be made up with a combination of Sophia skill. So when we talk about Sophia skills, those are attributes, if you will, that when combined can start to build role profiles that make it easy for somebody to understand, what do I need to be successful in that kind of job? And what we think and believe is it's not just an organizational opportunity or framework. Sophia can be used by anybody. So it's kind of one of those micro macro. At a micro level, any individual can manage his or her career and understand where he or she is and use that as part of their professional planning process. It is likened to a GPS system. When I was in consulting, there's 3 steps. Where are you today? Where do you want to be? And how do you get from where you are to where you want to be? My belief is Sophia is that kind of framework for individuals to plan their career. It helps you understand where you are, and we can show you or explain where you might want to be, and then how do you get there. So Jonathan, you want to just show the big diagram of what all those attributes look like. So when I talk about 121 attributes, it's not just technical skills. As you can see from this diagram, there's change, there's relationships and engagements, there's people skills, and then levels of responsibility. So there are technical skills. We all accept and believe that in IT, you have to have technical skills. And increasingly, it's become clear that the people with both technical and people skills are the ones that are able to progress and be more successful over time. And frankly, when you look at the skills that we're showing from a people perspective, those aren't necessarily IT skills. So that a lot of this framework can be and is now being adopted by other industries to help them do the same thing, combine technical with appropriate people skills and use that to explain what it is they're hoping that individuals can start to map their and show their career progressing against. When you look at this, you see other views. What we're able to do is construct pretty much any job in IT from combining or by combining these different attributes. So if you want to have somebody with a digital transformation role, you can take the skills that you want from this list and plug them in and create a digital transformation role. You can create cybersecurity data. You can create any role you want at pretty much any level. And the other thing I like about this particular framework, want to go to the next page? You'll recall that all of the categories had up to 7 levels. Some of them were highlighted. Every level that's highlighted has an exceptional amount of information available. So unlike some other programs or initiatives where it's not absolutely clear how it is you achieve any particular level, any level and any skill in Sophia is defined in ways that makes it perfectly clear. If you've got these kinds of experiences and the capabilities, then this is your level. If you have more, you keep moving. If you have less, you go back. So it takes the mystery, in my mind, out of every conversation around